Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome back to the whiteboard. This week's topic, YouTube advertising. One of the best topics, one of the most under-discussed topics in marketing, and we have not one, but two whiteboards back to back for you on YouTube so that by the end of this series, you are a YouTube expert. So, first things first, why are we talking about YouTube so much? Well, let me give you a few reasons why I'm excited about it, why our clients are seeing phenomenal results on it, and why I think that we are only just at the tip of the iceberg. So, number one, YouTube is the only video platform around that is both one of the world's largest search engines, second largest, and pretty much universally used. I'm gonna say loved. Loved is a strong word. Used is an accurate word. From 12, 13, 14-year-old middle and high school students learning how to do algebra, calculus, science projects, all the way through my 94-year-old grandmother who uses it for recipes, and everybody in between. I had an HVAC technician at my house. He had YouTube up on his iPad and was using it to fix one of our air handling units. Our team uses it all the time to get downloads on how to do stuff or what other people are doing. It is one of the most used platforms for education and entertainment around, right? Love that about YouTube. Number two, most importantly, huge user base, 2.5 billion users, over 120 million paying monthly subscribers, access to NFL Red Zone, and crucially, it is fantastic from an inventory standpoint because YouTube TV reaches, roughly 1 billion hours a day on the biggest screen in the house. So YouTube is this weird platform where not only is it used by everybody, not only does it have active subscribers, not only is it kind of pseudo TV, but the advent of shorts has pushed YouTube more into the social realm. So you get the best of CTV, you get the best of OTT, you get the best of social discovery, and you get it all wrapped up with one of the world's largest search engines, a massive user base, and wildly undervalued inventory. So when I say undervalued, YouTube's total user count is right around Meta's daily watch time on YouTube versus either Facebook or Instagram, roughly the same, obviously across both. Meta does get more user time total. Meta has slightly more users depending on how you dedupe the WhatsApp versus Instagram versus Threads versus Facebook, but point still stands. YouTube's total advertising revenue in 2024 was about 36 billion. That's a big number, but when you compare it to Facebook's 160 billion, and you remember that the watch time is about the same, it's a little higher on Meta, but it's not that much higher on Meta, you end up with a platform where you get access to pretty much the same audience as Meta for 30 to 80% less on a CPM basis, simply because no advertisers are using YouTube, right? $36 billion is a lot of money, but in the grand scheme of paid digital media, where paid digital media is about $1 trillion a year, YouTube is getting about 3.5% of that, and that number is actually falling. So think about that. When you go to your clients and you start talking about opportunities, if YouTube is not currently in your media mix or it's not at the top of the list, I think you need to think about it. So let's talk about why we are in this position. Why is YouTube struggling and what can you do about it? So there are really three reasons. Three big reasons why every brand that I've talked to has said we are hesitant about YouTube. So number one, they're not sure what in the world YouTube is. They haven't been able to make it work. They're not sure how to get success. Number two, the inventory mix and creative is confusing. That is granted. It is a weird, complicated ecosystem that once you master is beautiful, but getting there is hard. And three is measurement. It is really, really hard, It is a difficult proposition to measure the impact of YouTube, and partially that's on Google because they've made it really challenging. But we're going to break this down, go through it, and tell you how to get there. So first, let's take question number 1. YouTube, if you think about it, is best described as 3 platforms in one. Platform number 1 is a viral video platform in the mold of Reels or TikTok. That is Shorts. It is kind of its own little standalone thing. Right? Number 2 is your video discovery and search engine platform. This is the YouTube feed. This is the YouTube searching, right? This is where people are going to discover content, where they're getting solutions, where they're trying to research topics that they care about. Very different than Shorts, where you're going to be entertained, right? And then the third is essentially the in-stream, a connected TV or OTT, right, hybrid platform where you are basically running ads as pseudo commercials around various videos or topics. And if you break YouTube down in that way, you see that YouTube is really not one platform, it's actually 3. And when you talk about it as 3 platforms, you can then start to think about, okay, how do I approach YouTube in the way that is going to get me the best results? How Google wants you to do this is to just throw some assets up and let Google figure it out. That doesn't work. Mostly because Google, as we mentioned before about the advertisers, doesn't have the critical mass of creative and advertiser talent that Meta does. Meta has 4 times more advertiser revenue than YouTube. The data is just not there, right? Of course Meta is going to evolve faster. Of course Meta is going to have a better ad algorithm that's better able to adapt creative to placements than YouTube does at this time. But as an advertiser, you can break these out. So props to Google for giving you the tools, bad Google for telling you not to use them. So first thing I say is think about what platform you do well on. If you're a socially excellent brand on Facebook, you get lots of sales on Facebook, you are fantastic. Shorts can be a magical supplement that allows you to scale what's working on Facebook to new levels, right? Because Shorts is the most similar platform to TikTok or Instagram stories, Facebook Reels, etc., right? Shorts is the most similar there. So that's a great thing. If you are a platform that's like, hey, we really thrive on discovery, we do well at that, amazing, great for you, in feed. Very slept on, but incredibly powerful, incredibly cheap, ironically. The price for in-feed ads tends to be about 1/4 the price for in-stream and Shorts, these each of which is well below the mark for Meta and TikTok, right? And if you are running a lot of CTV and you're seeing good results from your CTT or your traditional TV, then in-stream might make sense for you. And if you're saying, I want to try all of these, I highly suggest you do it, but I suggest you break these into separate campaigns. Shorts, in-feed, in-stream. Break the placements out because that allows you to actually tailor the experience and the creative for the type of audience you're getting. Okay, that's thing 1, right? And then the last thing, measurement. How do you actually measure YouTube, right? If you are running a standard campaign in Google Ads for a YouTube, right? Or in this case, if it's a conversions campaign, you'll be running demand gen. If it's a standard awareness or CPV campaign, you'll be running a YouTube campaign. That in itself, confusing. But how do you measure success? And when you look in platform, what you're likely to see are lower conversion numbers, higher cost per conversion, lots of views, but maybe not a ton of clicks. How do you think about this? For us, what we do is we look at proxy metrics, especially if you are running discovery-oriented campaigns. Those can be incremental lift in branded search. That can be higher conversion rates for both branded and non-branded search. View-through conversions. Discount them, but use them. Any type of view-based attribution can work here. Because, remember, the intent of a user when they're in feed or in stream, they already are either looking for a solution or they found what they want to watch and they just want to see the content. So they are not in the mood to leave the platform and do something else. They are in the mood to consume their content or find the answer that they need. You being here is still valuable. It still helps, but you can't evaluate it on the same last click, conversion-oriented method, right, that you would use for Meta. It doesn't work. Shorts, on the other hand, you can kind of evaluate this closer-ish to a social platform because people that are on Shorts are generally in the same mindset as, you know, a TikTok or Instagram Reels, Facebook Stories, etc. Right? So that's kind of the same. But when you're up here, you need to start thinking bigger metrics. You need to think bigger picture because this is as much an awareness and discovery play as it is a conversion play. So as you think about this, number one, break out your platforms. Number two, reevaluate how you measure YouTube. It is one of those platforms that if you actually look at the big picture, you'll see huge lifts. And if you really want to get a good picture of this or your client doesn't believe you, best solution is to run a holdout test on YouTube. Pick a couple regions where you're going to run YouTube, hold out the rest of the country, or which you already have done because you're not running YouTube now. And then measure the increase in those targeted regions for YouTube, for branded search, for non-branded conversion rates, for shopping campaign performance. You'll be amazed. You'll see significant uplifts. You know, there's one brand that we're working with, 359% increase in conversion rate in regions targeted by YouTube versus those that are not. What's the difference between those regions? Statistically the same demographics, same populations, etc. The only change, one we ran YouTube, the other we didn't. One convert upwards of 6.5% on non-branded search, the other just below 2%. That's insane. That's the power of YouTube. It's the ability to reach billions of people worldwide at exactly the moment they're looking for answers with relevant content for a fraction of the cost that you would pay on Meta. So, takeaway for this week, go check out YouTube. Go see what's available. Give it a try. Next week, we're going to be back with how to actually buy on YouTube, what the campaigns look like, what the inventory looks like, how to think about targeting, all of it.